Hi, this is Brianna Schaefer, and I'll be reviewing the three branches of the government. We'll be reviewing the judicial, the executive, and the legislative branches. Under the judicial branch, there are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. They are appointed by the president. They decide if laws are constitutional. They can overturn rulings by other judges. The executive branch is elected every 4 years. The president can sign and veto laws. He appoints federal judges and appoints cabinet members. The legislative branch, there are 2 senators from each state. The number of congressmen is based on the population of the individual state. They're the ones that make the laws, and they approve presidential appointments. The judicial branch, the Supreme Court, is the highest court in the country. The Supreme Court justices can serve, once appointed, a life term. The 9 justices are nominated by the president and must be approved by the Senate with at least 51 votes. Now, not all 9 justices are replaced when the president is elected. That's if one of the justices retires or passes away. The president can make a nomination for the next Supreme Court justice. There are other lower federal courts. The Supreme Court evaluates laws to determine if they are constitutional or not, and they can overturn rulings made by other courts. The executive branch is constructed of the president, the vice president, and the cabinet. The president is the head of state, head of U.S. government, and the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military, and he can also pardon people. The vice president acts as the presiding officer of the Senate. He supports the president and takes the place of the president should the president become permanently unavailable. Cabinet members are nominated by the president and must be approved by the Senate with at least 51 votes. They serve as advisors or head of various departments and agencies. The legislative branch, which is also called Congress, it is composed of the Senate and the House of Representatives. In the Senate, there are 100 elected senators total, 2 from each state. Each senator serves a 6-year term. The House of Representatives, there are currently 435 elected representatives. The number of representatives is based on the population of each state. So some states will have more representatives than others depending on the population. Each representative serves a 2-year term and may be re-elected. Any member of Congress can introduce a bill, which if approved can become a law. Now this is the Supreme Court building, which was completed in 1935. It's located at 1 First Street Northeast in Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court is in session from October 1st through late June to early July, and they can hear up to 24 cases in one sitting. They have multiple sittings throughout that session that they have. The executive branch, they serve at the White House. The White House was constructed in 1792. It's located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C., which is probably one of the most famous addresses in history. If you ever wondered how the White House got its name, it's because it was burned by the British in 1814, and the exterior walls were painted white to hide the smoke damage. This is a photo of the Library of Congress. It officially serves Congress as their research library. It was founded in 1800, and it's located at 101 Independence Avenue, Southeast in Washington, D.C. Congress actually meets in the U.S. Capitol building, not at the Library of Congress. Per the Constitution, Congress must meet at least once a year on the first Monday of December unless they appoint a different day by law. Now, there are a few checks and balances between the 3 branches of the government. The system of checks and balances was to create a separation of power between the 3 branches of government. Checks and balances was designed by the Constitution to keep the government from getting too powerful in one branch by having the power to restrain the other 2 branches in several ways. As you can see by the flow chart, which I would suggest that you pay particular attention to, and take a look at how each one of the branches of government can check and balance the other. Now, here are a few things for you to think about, which we'll be discussing in class tomorrow. I want you to find out who are the 2 senators for our state, who is the representative for your city. I want you to be able to name 2 of the 9 current Supreme Court justices. I want you to be able to explain one way each of the branches of government can check and balance the other 2. So I want you to say how the legislative branch can check the judicial branch, how the executive branch can check the legislative branch, and how the judicial branch can check the legislative branch. So one for each one of the branches of government. And then I want you to research and name 2 appointed cabinet positions that are currently held and the name of the people that currently hold them. So we'll be discussing all this information tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson, and we will see you in class.